in the NFL. We got the bombshell that happened on Saturday, I believe it was. And if I'm not right, you can correct me in the comments. Or the Cowboys, a serious NFC contender after the Brandin Cooks and Stephon Gilmore additions. And Zay, the mic is yours to kick us off.
I think when we talk about the Dallas Cowboys, we know them to be one thing and one thing only, and that's choke artists on a year in, year out basis. It's always the injuries, it's always the questionable play calling, the lack of time clock management, the unbelievable penalties, bad calls, possibly sometimes. It just never ends with the Cowboys. Year to year, we call them a series contender. We call them the division winners year to year, and nothing ever changes with the Cowboys. They always find a way to lose games. That's just their MO. That's in their DNA. That's just who they are. For me, I don't take the Cowboys as a serious contender until they show me something, until they show me they can actually be consistent. Because no matter how much talent they add to their team on a year in, year out basis, they always drop the ball. And it never ceases to amaze me. Every year they drop the ball, and it doesn't make any sense. If we're talking about a team, any team in the league that has the type of talent that the Cowboys have, and put them on any other organization, a team with consistent coaching, we wouldn't be discussing, are they series contenders? We would just call them Super Bowl contenders, because the Cowboys have literally everything from a talent perspective. It's the coaching that always messes them up. They don't hire adequate coaches to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know when that started happening. I don't know what year they started just bringing in these coaches that don't know what the hell they're doing, don't know the X and O's of the game, because they always mess it up. It's always the play calling. Like last year, you can make the point that the Cowboys had a really strong, dominant team. When you look at the talent up and down, how many teams have a better roster than the Dallas Cowboys? There's not many. There's not many teams that have a better roster alone than the Dallas Cowboys on paper. And then when they play, you're just like, who the hell is this? It doesn't make any sense. All this talent, and you consistently come up short. It doesn't make sense to me. I would never take the Cowboys as a serious contender until they're in the NFC Championship, literally seconds away from going to the Super Bowl. Because until then, that's when I call them serious. But right now, I can't even make the argument that they're a serious contender. I understand they got Brandin Cooks for 4th and 5th round pick. That was a great pickup. I know that they just got Stephon Gilmore. He's a household name. Is he going to be the same as he was last year? That's a scary fact. If he is, he allowed, I believe, 90% or 100% from a 90.4 or between 90.4 and 100 passer rating allowed when passes are thrown towards him. That's not a great number to have as a cornerback. And the person adjacent to him, Trayvon Diggs, was at 107. So these guys are allowing quarterbacks to decimate them on the football field. I don't know how it's going to work with them. Their dynamic when they're playing. I don't know if they're going to get pressure from the front on the Dallas Cowboys end with Micah Parsons out there. I have to see it to believe it. Right now, not serious contenders. I know they got some household names, but to me, they're not serious contenders.
First of all, I would love to, I don't want to say love, but I would like to give Jerry Jones some credit for getting some bargains with some very good high level players. You talk about Brandin Cooks to start off. I believe they gave up a 4th rounder and a 6th rounder. Yeah, I believe it was a 5th and 6th rounder. Excuse me. Save the 4. I'm going 5. Okay, a 5th and 6th rounder for Brandin Cooks. And this was the same team, the Dallas Cowboys, who offered a 3rd round pick for Brandin Cooks at the deadline. So now they got him for cheaper than what they initially offered for him before. And not only that, they got the Texans to pay $6 million of the $18 million owed to Cooks this year. So you talk about a bargain. That's a bargain right there. One thing I know is Brandin Cooks is consistent. And you can argue, despite his mercenary adventures, he has always put up consistent numbers. Whether it's with good quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, whether it's with okay quarterbacks, Jared Goff, whether it's with guys that go by the name of Davis Mills, he put up numbers. And that's one thing that I know about him, is that his consistency, you can always count on. But unfortunately, you can't always count on Dak's consistency as a quarterback. But I'll get to there in a minute. Stephon Gilmore was a very good pickup to boost the Cowboys secondary, which I always thought was overrated. A lot of people talk about Trayvon Diggs, and he's a very good cornerback, but I think he's overrated. You hit him with double move, he's in a different area code. but he has good play on the ball. He knows how to generate turnovers and interceptions. And you compare, and alongside him, you got a guy that's a lockdown guy is Stephon Gilmore. Now you're in business, and now you're helping out your defensive line who could actually, play better and generate more pass rush because the secondary, you don't got to worry about it. And that was the problem with the Cowboys. We saw a decline in the defensive line, especially when you talk about the sacks and takeaways that made them a good team. It was a very deep decline for about a couple weeks to end up the season. Why was that? Because we can attack your secondary and we could pick you apart. So now if we can, get chunk plays early, then we get the ball out fast. You can't generate that pass rush. But now because you have to worry and respect the secondary, the D line has time to get to the quarterback. So these moves make them better. Um, you know, when you talk about Dak Prescott and when he lost Amari Cooper, right? It was a big loss. Amari Cooper was the number one wide receiver. He can do a lot. And you see around the league when you give a quarterback a dynamic weapon on the outside, they stats go up and it looks really different. Now you get a guy like Brandin Cooks, who you pair alongside CeeDee Lamb and Mike Gallup, you got yourself a nice little squad there. But when you hear Mike McCarthy say, I want to run the damn ball, taking shots at Kellen Moore, I don't think that helps you win the ball. So I'm guessing during the draft, they're going to draft the running back. But needless to say, to answer the question, I'm going to say they are NFC contenders. And the reason why I'm going to say so is because when you look at the question and how it was worded, it says, are they serious NFC contenders? We ain't say nothing about Super Bowl contenders, okay? Because we having a different conversation. This is a team that hasn't been past the divisional round of the playoffs since 1995. But if you're talking NFC contenders, name me 3 NFC contenders right now, because I can't name them. Maybe the 49ers, you can argue, maybe, right? We don't know about Brock Purdy and his health. We don't know about Trey Lance, mystery. We damn sure don't know about Sam Darnold, okay? Are they contenders? The Eagles, they lost some pieces on the defensive, side of the ball. Are they contenders? So there's not a lot of contenders. And although we could look back last year and see that the Cowboys had a good team, the 49ers, their defense stifled the 49ers. Their defense played well. Dak Prescott, we can't trust that guy. However, the NFC remains a big question mark to me. All the great quarterbacks on the AFC. So if you're talking about contenders in the NFC, sure, because it's not a lot. But Super Bowl, yeah, I'm off that.
And that's my issue. To call them serious contenders in the NFC, even that, because like you have teams in your own division that you're gonna have to combat against the entire year, especially if the the Commanders decide to go with a quarterback a different direction during the draft. If a quarterback drops during this draft or they trade up to get a quarterback, then that changes everything for that NFC East alone. I think the NFC, when you look at the Eagles, their offense is still intact. I understand they're still possibly looking for a running back. They have a high draft pick to acquire one if they so be it, if they do want one. A lot of people are rumoring that Bijan Robinson is available to go in the top 20. And the Eagles, a team that really just went to the Super Bowl, could be a team that wants Bijan as their running back, especially when they got Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell and in the backfield. I think the Giants, you have to look at them. At all the receivers they just added. They're not household names, but these guys got speed on them. These guys move at an accelerating pace. And that makes me wonder, is Dable in that offense going to be moving way quicker than what they did last year? In a fast pace, everything is quick motions. Everything is moved down the field as quick as possible. And I'm not saying the talent is better than the Cowboys, but the coaching is. And the coaching in that NFC East, I think the Cowboys, you can make the argument, is the worst coach team in the NFC East. And you can make that argument. I mean, of course, them in the Commanders, you're going to go, they could easily like swap, but it's like it's not that far apart. The Cowboys have showed a lot of blunders with the talent that they have. And I think, you have to also respect the Saints being able to bring in Derek Carr. Hopefully Thomas and Kamara can stay healthy. Also bringing in Jamal Williams in the back. Like that's a team that also could be a serious contender over the Cowboys. The Cowboys to me haven't shown the consistency that I would like to see, because it's not the players that are not playing consistent. It's the play calling. that is not consistent. The play calling has not been great. The in-game adjustments have not been great. For whatever reason, if they start the game great, you can almost guarantee they finish the game horrible. And then vice versa. If they start the game horrible, there's a possibility they may finish the game on a strong note or they just falter out. It's something about these Cowboys I just do not understand. And it has a stench of Jerry Jones. It just seems like whoever coach they bring in, from the McCarthys to the Garretts, is just the same thing. The inconsistency to just have efficient games. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like when you look at these talents, if you put not Brandin Cooks, CeeDee Lamb on another team, they're gonna call him a star receiver. They're gonna call him a top 15 receiver. You put Tony Pollard on another team, he's gonna be probably a 1,000-yard, 1,200-yard running back. You put Dalton Schultz on another team, he may have a 10 touchdown, 12 touchdown season. But it just seems like when they all put together, everybody's underproducing except for Dak Prescott, who could throw for a couple games of 400 yards and then get hurt the rest of the season. So it's weird how this Cowboys team, for somehow, some way, can always bet on them to do horrible. And for right now, I can't even call them a serious NFC contender because I got to see them against the other teams to see if they can be as serious as people say they are.
I mean, look, by no means am I saying the Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders. I know better than that. I've been watching football for decades. I know better than that. But what I'm saying is that, could you call them horrible last year? No, they weren't horrible. They should have beat the 49ers, with all due respect. They defense stifled Brock Purdy. I remember watching that game. They stuffed Deebo Samuel in the backfield. CMC couldn't get going on the ground. All they needed was a couple plays from Dak Prescott. They went in that game. And they go into the NFC Championship game against a division rival, which means that game probably would have been closer. So the Cowboys are right there. Do I believe they're going to get over that hump? No. Why? Because I don't believe in Dak Prescott. There's certain guys in sports that cannot win a championship. They don't have that championship DNA. They don't have the heart. They don't have the mind. They don't have the MOs to win a championship, with all due respect. And guys that come to mind in that category is Dak Prescott, Derek Carr. I could consider him. You talk about the Saints. Yeah, they upgraded. But is Derek Carr champion? Has he won the playoffs? Only one time in the playoffs. So it's not like he brings you anything of value from that perspective. Yeah, you can argue he's a little bit. I don't even know if he's more talented than Dak. They're the same to me. That's picking fools, whoever you want to go with, head or tails. Dak obviously gives you that mobility. And I think that's where Dak is at his best, when he's flashing that mobile game where he's running for first downs and they're operating off the play action. I think he's more effective and has more upside than Derek Carr in those regards. If you're talking about strictly quarterback from the pocket, I go Derek Carr. But it's 1A, 1B in that category. And they're not even top 10 quarterbacks to me, both of them. But let me ask you this question before I proceed with my take. If you look in the NBA, do you consider the 76ers right now to be contenders? I'll make a comparison. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Nah.
Okay, so you thinking like me. But most people right now, you go around the board with a mic, they're going to tell you, I think that the 76ers are contenders, right, in the Eastern Conference. Because you look around, Milwaukee is probably the hottest team and the most consistent team on that side. And the Celtics, although they are talented and although they give the Philly 76ers a run for their money all the time, they always beat them, they still are inconsistent. They up and down like a roller coaster. So they are classified by most, not by me and you, as contenders. The reason why I don't consider them to be not Super Bowl finals contenders is because I don't believe in the championship DNA of James Harden, right? The same thing with Dak Prescott. I don't believe he's a championship guy. However, I do believe that there's not a lot of championship guys in the NFC outside of Matthew Stafford, who won a chip a couple years ago in the NFC. And I don't even believe in the Rams, to be honest with you. So although you got a champion over there, I don't even believe in that team this year. You talk about the 49ers. Do they have a championship level quarterback? We still don't know. Bob Purdy came in, he did his thing. Right? Jimmy Garoppolo came in and did his thing. But did Jimmy Garoppolo win a chip? No, he didn't. So you go to the Eagles, That's the only team right now that I'm like, maybe I bet on them. But that's if ends. We still haven't got to see Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott yet. At least 2 years ago. I'm talking about last year we didn't because Cooper Rush was in for Dak and Gardner Minshew was in for Jalen Hurts. So let's see a full healthy Cowboys-Eagles team. Who knows? So what I'm saying is, yes, the Cowboys are not winning the Super Bowl. And all them Cowboys fans watching right now, I'm sorry to break it to you, you're never winning the Super Bowl, at least in my lifetime. But what I'm saying is because the NFC is so wide open, because the quarterback carousel, the elite quarterback carousel is in the AFC, by virtue of default, they are NFC contenders. Because I can't look at a team right now in the NFC with a straight face and say, I know for certain they're going to be representing in the Super Bowl this year.